Okay, I think we're rolling. Well, hello everyone. Long time no see. My name is Adam. If you don't know me, congratulations, you know me now. I'm an instructor at Arthur Murray Pittsburgh East, and we're going to work on Cuban Motion today, whether at a beginner level or at an advanced level. There's always fundamentals that everybody can work on. I'm doing something a little bit different today. You might notice I'm in a slightly different part of the room. I'm trying out different lighting and stuff. I'm also trying this on my phone and hoping to upload this directly to Facebook to see if that'll reach more people and to see if more of you can let me know what you think of it. So there's also the YouTube videos, and then there's this. So without further ado, I'm going to break down just a couple of real simple methods to get comfortable with Cuban Motion, whether you've been dancing forever, this is your first time, or if you're very new at it. We'll give you some tips on how to do that. So just do this all at your own pace. So, and you'll notice that in some of these videos, or all these videos, I'm wearing my sneakers for two reasons. One is because I like to be comfortable. And two is so, you know, if none of you have dance shoes, or if you have your dance shoes on you or whatever, just to show you can practice these wearing anything. You don't really have to do a whole lot of prep work to do this stuff. So if I can do it in my shoes, you can do it in your shoes, all right? So first things first, what I want you to do is I want you to bring your feet close together. Now I have a little bit of what we call turnout on my feet, which essentially is where like your feet kind of look away from each other, like they're mad, like they got in a fight and they don't want to look at each other right now. But if you don't quite have that, some people are knocking in, some people are just straight ahead. That's fine, whatever. Just if you notice my feet are slightly turned out, don't worry about it right now. Although it does help. So the first thing that I want you to try to do with me is just practice bending and straightening your legs without moving any directions. Meaning, like, if I'm standing straight up, nice and tall, and I start to bend my knees, you'll notice that I'm going to take my right knee right now, but you can do whichever one that you want. I'm going to bend it and then straighten. And each time that I bend one leg, I'm going to straighten the other one. There's a nice simple way to get used to. I like to tell my students, don't forget that you have knees. A lot of times it's very easy to forget that you have these things when you're dancing because you're trying too hard to put the steps in the right place. I shouldn't say trying too hard, but you know what I mean? Like you might be focusing so much on one thing that you forget that you can have fun and move your other parts of your body. So this is me just moving my knees one direction or the other, or rather one after the other, moving forward or back. Now I'm going to show you from the side just so you can see here. Notice that as I do this, as if it already wasn't apparent, that as I straighten one leg and bend the other one kind of juts out a little bit, right? That's kind of what you want to feel. You want to feel like something's kind of moving one way or the other. And you might notice that like as I did that, just out of habit, I kind of like got shorter on this side, which makes sense because this is the leg that's bending. Right, as you can see, when I bend my other leg, this side gets a little bit longer, and you can see my right knee kind of jutting out from the side, right? And the same thing from the other side, same idea. You can see one knee or the other jutting forward or standing straight up. So I just want you to get used to that first. Get used to that feeling that your knees can move, because that'll also move your hips a little bit. Even if you don't know how to move your hips separately yet, or if you're flossing. It took me like 3 years to learn how to do that. But you want to feel like your knees are moving because, again, everything's attached. So if you can move your knees, your hips kind of have to move a little bit just because they have to work in tandem with the rest of your body to complement what the other side's doing and also to compensate so that you do not fall. You bend one knee, this one straightens, it kind of juts out here, even if your head and knee goes over here. That way we're nice and balanced and we don't fall over. If I straighten both, now I'm going to fall, right? So that's the first thing. Get used to that feeling. Now what we're going to do with this is I'm going to have you, once you practice this kind of wiggling back and forth, right, just getting used to this, is we're going to open our feet a little bit. Just a little bit at a time, just to get comfortable. You don't have to open up wide. You don't even have to open up your full shoulder width yet. Just wherever you're comfortable, just a little bit. And then do that again, because I want you to feel what that feels like when your knees are moving forward and backwards, but your legs are apart. Because this is the one that I think most people get a little bit uncomfortable with. So, same exercise that we were doing here, except now we're going to open up our feet a little bit. So now, we're going to do the same thing. It's going to feel a little weird, and you might not feel just yet or at all that you have the same range of motion that you did when your feet were together. But just do the best that you can. Don't force this. Just don't force your body to do something, especially if it's uncomfortable. But if it's emotionally or mentally uncomfortable, I'm going to ask that you step a little bit farther out of your comfort zone, okay? Actually, I learned from a student a really great phrase, that life happens outside of your comfort zone. So outside of this bubble is where life happens, right? So whether you're in isolation or if you have somebody with you or whatever, You know, you can still try things that get you out of your comfort zone. So when the world finally gets back to normal, we can explore more stuff and feel more confident than ever. So this is one of the ones that I get asked about a lot. So get comfortable with this action. Just do it fast, do it slow, and almost feel like you're running, you know, like you're just in place without lifting your feet, right? So typically what you want to be able to do that with is roughly where your shoulder width is, but it's a little bit easier to kind of like inch your way to it until you're about to your shoulders, and then you get used to that feeling again. Now you may notice, like I said earlier, that my feet are a little bit turned away versus straight. That does help give you a little bit more range of motion. Now you have to train your legs to do this, so if it's not quite comfortable yet, give yourself time. And you'll notice again, when I do this on the side here, that again, even though my feet are apart, as I bend, you can see one knee kind of juts out a little bit farther than the other. Now, because my feet are turned out, they're kind of going more on an angle, but you'll still see that like I'm still working forward and back. I'm not going sideways, which can be a little confusing for folks, I think. So far so good. We've got knees in place, or rather knees with feet together, and then we have knees with feet apart, right? Now, another thing that I want you to realize is that when I bring, what we're going to try to do to elevate this a little bit, and this is kind of like a tiered thing, so take your time and go back wherever you need to, is when I am bending my knees and straightening my legs when I am in a closed position here, closed feet position. You might notice that right now, because of how my legs are, there's like a big gaping hole between my legs, right? So when I bend my knees, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to hide the daylight. And I'm not going to tell you how to do this because I think this is something that allows you to explore. Think to yourself, what do I have to do to hide the daylight? For some people, even if, say if I just bend one leg right now as I'm doing this, if I just bend one leg, for some people it's just kind of like turning a little to the side to hide that daylight, right? It helps if you have a mirror or if you're using your selfie cam on your cell phone to see what you're doing, right? And you can see that I'm trying to hide as much light as I can. Is it perfect? Maybe not, but I'm trying to do what I can. Some people will just squeeze more. They'll squeeze real tight, right? And some people will just turn to the side. Whatever it is that helps you feel, and then try it on the other side, that you can hide the light as much as you can. It's not going to be perfect. I'm not trying to do it my full range. But just kind of show you like it might just be this right now. It might be this. You might just be squeezing really hard as your knees. Whatever it is that you have to do to hide that light, that's what you want to do because I want you to feel something. This whole thing that I'm showing you today is so you can feel something. Right, something that maybe you're not used to, because a lot of times when people step to the side or when they close their feet, when I say, okay, gang, close your feet, I usually get this, because we think with our feet, right? So we're just moving our foot, right? But what I want to see eventually is when people bring their feet together, I want to see this. I want to see when they bring their feet together, they're trying to hide that light. Boom. So this is the next exercise, is when we're standing with our feet apart. Usually I just pick a side to shift weight to, so for sake of posterity, I'm going to be on my left foot. You can mirror me on your right foot or also go on your left foot, whatever is easier for you. And so when I bring my feet together, notice that right now, like you can see that just my tippy toes are kind of touching the floor over here, like I'm trying to grab like a dollar bill on the ground or something and scooch it over, because that happens to everybody, I'm sure. You know, so when I do that, I'm going to bring my leg close to my other leg, but when I do that, notice the first thing I do, instead of just bringing a whole straight leg over here, is I'm going to bend my knee, and keep it bent, and then put it beside my other foot. And I want you to really try, this is the next part, is as you put your foot together, even if you can't hide a lot of daylight yet, what I want you to think about is when I bring my leg closer to my other foot, or to my other leg, that I'm still keeping this slightly bent. See how I'm kind of like still popping it out like I was showing you earlier, how one knee is farther out than the other? Right? You still want that. I want you to feel this. And even if you can't put your whole foot on the ground yet, or if it's just your toe right now, that's fine. That's actually very good. Don't worry about that just yet. That'll come into play down the road. But for right now, I just want you to get used to this feeling like, oh, my knees, I have them. I can dance with them, right? And then same thing on the other side, right? So again, I'm standing all my weight over here. You can see that my toes are just the only thing that's touching the floor over here. And as I bring my leg in, instead of just that, where that's just a big brick or 2x4, right? I'm bending my leg, like the first thing I do is I'm picking it up, right? And then as I bring it in, I'm trying to hide that daylight between my legs, right? And again, if you don't quite have the daylight thing yet, don't worry about it. Even if it's just straight ahead, that's fine. And again, if your whole foot's not on the floor either, don't worry about it. Just get used to having your knees doing something. This is all stuff that you'll learn as you develop it and practice and work with your teacher and other students. But you just want to get used to this feeling of having one knee farther out ahead than the other one, right? Just get used to that. So you don't want them to ever be even. I don't say ever, but in this exercise, you don't want them to ever be even. There will be a point, brief flashes or glimpses where like things like, right? Don't worry about that right now. Sound effects not included. You have to bring your own, right? So just a couple more times with this, and also just applying everything we know now. When I bring my feet together, I'm going to hide the daylight. I'm going to keep my knee bent, right? And again, do whatever you have to do. Turn a little bit more this way if you need to, or squeeze your knees more if you need to. Just get used to this feeling that you have knees in the first place. Now that sounds a little bit funny, but I know we often forget that we can use them or how to utilize them when we're dancing, but we do them all the time without thinking about it. Another good way to practice, I don't have anything with me right now, but if you have stairs to walk up, right, or even just a small step stool, right, when you lift your foot up to put your Captain Morgan almost, you know, when you put your foot up on the first stair, you get this feeling of like of one leg is going to be bent. Before you shift your weight up and climb up onto that stair, right, there's a moment where one leg has to bend to get you up there. We don't walk up with our feet straight. We don't goose step up the stairs, right? So when you go up, you have to pick up your knee, right? So that's another good way to practice. If you have stairs, just practice putting one foot on the stair at a time and bringing it down, and one foot. This is a good way to practice when you go forward in Cuban motion, right? It's getting used to picking that foot up and putting it up on a stair. Now, if you don't have stairs, if you live in a one-story place or whatever, that's fine, because then I'll go from the side here to show you what I'm doing. So we've done together, we've done sideways. I'm going to show you now a little bit of how to go forward. Now this is a little bit harder, so again, I'm trying to fit kind of like an elevated thing that you can practice through this. You don't have to do this all in one video or feel like you've done it, so give yourself time. So going forward, just get used to it. So at first this is going to feel like just putting my foot out in front of me. Like my leg is straight right now. Just getting used to having a leg out in front of you, right? Each leg. Just get used to that. It's real basic, like you're dipping your toes in the water. See if it's warm enough for you to jump into. Maybe you don't want to get cold yet. Who knows, right? So then what you're going to do, just to get used to it, again, there's a lot more to this. I'm just giving you like a crash course. Is you're going to bend that knee, like we were doing earlier, one leg in front of the other one. I'm using my right leg right now. You can use your right if you like, or your left. And so when I put my leg out in front of me, now you're going to notice that I can't go quite as far as it was when it was straight because my knee's bent. So that kind of shortens my leg a little bit, obviously, right? That makes it shorter. When we crouch both knees, we get short. When we crouch one knee, one side gets short. Mathematically, that makes sense, but dance-wise, sometimes that can be a little weird. So instead of being straight here, I'm now straight here. So get used to putting each leg out in front of you. And again, it doesn't matter if your whole foot touches the floor yet or not. I'm not concerned with that. Today is all about just getting used to your knees doing something. Now, there's more to it than this. I just can't stress that enough. But just get used to when you put your foot out in front of you, this kind of feeling that you can tap back and forth with one leg out in front and it's bent, right? And just from the front view so you can see kind of what I'm doing here. When I started here, right? And you can go back to here if you need to. So maybe if you're like, okay, let me get my left knee bent. All right, it's bent, cool. Right? And then see if you can put it out in front of you as far as you can without unbending or without straightening your leg too much. I don't know if unbending is a word. Is unbending a word? It probably is. Right? So see how it's like this? Kind of like little Elvis. I was a bad Elvis. Don't do that. Right? But the idea is that you kind of have a leg out in front of you. Again, notice, I don't know if you noticed on the side here, but my whole foot's not on the floor yet. That's fine. You'll get to here eventually. Don't stress about that right now. Right? But just right now, get used to this. So this is the next exercise. It's just right here. All right? Just get used to changing back and forth and getting used to popping that knee up right before you put it anywhere. Right? And that's how you do that. Now, we'll practice walking steps and other things in future videos and practices. And when the world gets back to somewhat normal, we'll practice that here in the studios as well. So just to kind of recap all of those things, is we were in place first. Getting used to using our knees in place. Like, again, we're not practicing any sort of crazy steps. We're not practicing merengue or cha-cha or rumba, anything like that yet. This is all just to get used to, just getting used to your body, right? And then we went to the side, or rather when our legs were together, we were trying to hide the daylight, right? Bending our knees this way, right? And then opening our legs, and then bending our knees this way. Just getting used to how that feels and having a little bit of turnout in our feet if we can, right? And then what we were doing was we were standing on one leg, right? And then just bringing that foot in and keep making sure that it's bent. Just that way, we can get used to hiding that daylight and also having one knee farther out ahead. And the same thing on the other side, just getting used to it this way, right? Also, just a good way to keep your legs nice and warm, whether you're cold or just getting ready to do a workout. Nice way to kind of get the calves working a little bit, right? And then, of course, we did the points out in front. And again, if that one's a little bit harder for you, just go back to the beginning, right? Figure out which knee you want to practice with, and then put it out in front of you, right? Nice and simple. Did I forget anything? If I did, that's fine. You can go back and rewatch it. So those are some basic Cuban motion exercises that you can do. Ultimately, what those will lead to is getting used to picking up your feet and doing this, right? This is kind of where we're going to go to eventually. Even just something real simple. This isn't super high level. This is just nice, kind of maybe early level, what we call bronze level movement, right? And then to the side, as we got used to this exercise here, we'll get used to moving to the side, right? One way or the other. Moving to the side, one way or the other, right? Then, of course, moving forward, backwards, we'll cover another time because backwards is a little bit harder. But eventually, we'll go from having that toe pop, or that heel popped, to placing it. There's different schools of thought on this. We're getting used to moving back and forth with this kind of level of movement with the Cuban motion, and also learning how to do it backwards eventually, which is a little bit tougher, but ultimately something that we want to make sure that we practice as well as we get comfortable with it. But that's how you do it. Cuban motion, side to side, in place, and going forward. I hope that was helpful for you. I have no idea how long this video has been running, so hopefully I've still kept your attention up to this point. If you have any questions or requests, you know how to get a hold of me right here on the video. Just say hi. What's up? How's it going? I like to get a live stream going, so if anybody cares to do that, please let me know. If I schedule it and no one shows up, I'm going to be really lonely and feel like a doofus doing this live, knowing people could be watching with me, but they're not. So don't make me feel that way. Don't make me feel embarrassed. Come on, I'm kind of doing this on my own time, man. Give me a shot. But if you prefer this, if this is easier for you, then we'll just keep doing this. So let me know what you think. It would mean a lot either way. But in the meantime, I've been Adam. You guys are great. Thank you so much for watching. And I just want to say, as I always like to, the world sucks right now. It just does. This whole thing sucks out loud. And but you know, we're all miserable in some way, shape, or form. But please be kind. Please be gentle with each other. Especially now, there's a lot of crazy things going on with people. I know that everybody's getting stir crazy and they're uncertain and they're scared. So be patient with each other. Be patient with yourself. I know that's hard to do, and you might not give yourself enough credit or enough time to realize that it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to go stir crazy right now. We all are getting a little weird. But you know, as they say, if you're not stuck at home, you're safe at home. And I firmly believe that we're going to get back to a good normal, a new normal, a better normal, ladies and gentlemen. So take care of yourself and each other. I'm going to turn off my phone now, and hopefully nothing went wrong because I couldn't see. And we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.